words Me Too have such a great significance in our society today. After the Me Too movement spread across the United States in the beginning of 2017 and is still continuing on to this day, mostly everyone in our generation feels a different way when those words are said aloud. Today I'd like to tell you a little bit about how Oprah Winfrey made a huge impact on society and the Me Too movement through her speech at the 2018 Golden Globes event. Why is this speech so important, you might be asking? Well, I'm sure all of you, or at least your parents, know who Oprah Winfrey is. She is a major public figure in today's society and makes it her goal to impact and change others' lives for the better. When any of us come across a major celebrity such as Oprah, we are drawn in by their powerful impact to society. Now, I'm not Oprah's #1 fan or anything, and my research about her is done primarily for this speech, but you don't have to be an Oprah enthusiast to feel moved by her speech. Today, I'd like to focus on 3 main points of her speech: referring to her past and giving thanks, telling the story of Recy Taylor, and motivating others to take action. First, I'd like to explain why it was so important for her to share her past and give thanks. When she was a little girl watching the Academy Awards, she witnessed one of the first Black men in history, Sidney Poitier, being praised and applauded for his work. She then explains in 1982, Sidney received the Cecil B. DeMille Award at the Golden Globes. David Cohen of Political Magazine writes, "The DeMille Award is a Lifetime Achievement Award recognizing those who have made a huge impact on the entertainment business." Now she is the first Black woman in history to receive that same award and hopes to inspire others to change the path of history. She shares her award and gives thanks to many inspirational people, and she focuses on the incredible men and women who have inspired me, who have challenged me, and sustained me and made my journey to this stage possible, as she says. Then she goes into thanking the press for sharing the stories of the mistreatment and uncovering the truth of corruption and violence. Most importantly, she thanks all the women who have stood up and shared their personal stories and have empowered other women around the world to speak up as well. As she says in her speech, "What I know for sure is that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have, and I'm especially proud and inspired by all of the women who have felt strong enough and empowered enough to speak up and share their personal stories. Each of us in this room are celebrated because of the stories that we tell, and this year we became the story." Next, I'm going to explain the importance of the story she told during her speech. Through the examples she gives in her speech, such as the Recy Taylor case, she inspires everyone, especially women who have been abused or assaulted, to speak up and tell their stories in order to shift future generations. In her speech, Oprah says, "In 1994, Recy Taylor was a young wife and mother walking home when she was abducted by 6 armed men, raped, and left blindfolded by the side of the road coming home from church. They threatened to kill her if she ever told anyone, but her story was reported to the NAACP, where a young worker by the name of Rosa Parks became the lead investigator on her case, and together they sought justice. Recy never got her justice, and the men who harmed her were never persecuted. Recy is just one example out of the thousands of women who have not been heard or believed when seeking justice." Oprah uses the story of Recy Taylor to motivate and change future generations, to encourage women to speak up, and to move away from a culture controlled by powerful men. The story of Recy may be hard for some to hear, but it's stories like hers that shift the power in future generations and influence women to speak their truth. Politico Magazine wrote, "Her speech clearly reflected a main theme of the evening, the spate of sexual harassment and assault allegations that had dominated the news in recent months." Lastly, she motivates her audience to speak up and tell their stories. Her main point of her speech was that it is time to tell our empowering stories and put an end to having to say the words, "Me too." She wants us to create a society where we no longer have to succumb to accepting that this is the way society is. Instead, we should change it. We all need to work as a society to show future generations that sexual assault will never be acceptable in society again. So I want all the girls watching here now to know that a new day is on the horizon. And when that new day finally dawns, it will be because of a lot of magnificent women, many of whom are right here in this room tonight, and some pretty phenomenal men fighting hard to make sure that they will become the leaders who take us to the time where nobody ever has to say, "Me too" again. Speaking up is the most powerful tools we have in society nowadays. In her own words, to say how we experience shame, how we love, and how we rage, how we fail, how we retreat, persevere, and how we overcome. Our words are our power, and how we use them determines our future. Oprah inspires all of the men and women to become the leaders that can lead us to the point of positive change. In conclusion, I could talk about the significance of this speech for hours, but I only have 7 minutes, so I'll sum it up here. By giving flashbacks of her childhood and giving thanks, telling the stories of other impactful people, motivating others to speak up, Oprah's speech is a very significant part of the Me Too movement and it impacts all parts of society. Oprah had the opportunity of saying just the right thing at just the right time. Her goal was to motivate others to speak up and tell their truth and to become powerful leaders who can make a change. My hope for all of you is that you do speak your truth and strive to be the powerful leaders who someday change the world.